Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me today. I appreciate this very much. So I am going to ask you two questions. I'm going to ask you to tell us your name and share something about yourself you feel comfortable with sharing.
Okay. I am Dr. Paulette J. Evans. I am, let's see, I'm a resident of Raleigh, North Carolina. I love the city. I am a vice president of the Enterprise Portfolio Management Office at Cardinal Innovations. I also have 6 nonprofits that I support in a leadership capacity. And I'm also the CEO and founder of Evans Efficiency Experts, where I help women, more times than not working women, convert chaos to calm before they burn out. And I am comfortable sharing everything. I will say that COVID has been extremely hard for me because I am a person whose outlets are traveling and going to the spa. And so it was a very difficult 18 to 20 months for me. I've started dabbling a little bit in terms of travel, but I am a person who loves to see the cultures and the things that are not, USA. It makes me happy to go and visit with people who are not like me, so I can learn how things are happening outside of my personal space and my personal community, my personal country. So that's one thing I really love doing, is going to other places and just seeing how the rest of the world lives.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. So is Raleigh your home? Have you been here all your life?
I have been here for about 3 years. Everyone thinks I've been here longer because when I get someplace, I really embed myself quickly, intentionally. So no, I've only been here 3 years. I was born and raised in Georgetown, South Carolina. It's a small town right in the middle of Myrtle Beach and Charleston. So more times than not, people are driving through Georgetown and not driving to Georgetown. I drive there only because my parents still live there. Otherwise, I'd never go there. But yeah, my folks are still there. So I do see Georgetown about 4 to 6 times a year when I go visit my parents.
So you and I are neighbors in a way. I was born in New York, but I was raised in Walterboro, South Carolina,
Oh, nice.
low country.
Yes, yes.
And I'm just like you. So for me, I have no more relatives in South Carolina, so I don't
Oh,
go unless I'm going to visit some of my husband's relatives who live there, but not too much.
gotcha.
So tell me this. So how did you end up in the role that you're in now? So you do work for this company, you do work for nonprofits, you also have your own company. What led to each of those entities?
Okay, so with Cardinal, I literally did not, I had never heard of Cardinal. And a recruiter was looking at my LinkedIn page and saw that I have a background in engineering, business. I also have my MBA, I have my doctorate, and I've been doing project management on a large scale for about 15 to 20 years. So they saw that and they reached out to me. And Cardinal, since then, we have consolidated with another company, and I'm working with the team that's leading that effort in terms of consolidation. So yeah, that one just kind of snuck up on me. It's one of those things where you're pulled into where you need to be when you need to be there. And I leave all of that in God's very capable hands. I don't question anything anymore. Whatever I have, it's my blessing, and it shows up when I need it to. I show up when I need to. He points me in the right direction. So that's Cardinal. In terms of my nonprofit work, I am a huge proponent of empowering women. And so for me, any spare time I have, I devote to empowering women, helping them know that they can do everything and anything they want to do. They're not they're not bound by anybody's rules, societies, men, or whatever. They can do anything and everything. And so I spend a lot of time helping women understand that and helping them accept it with no apologies. Because it's one thing to say, yes, I can do this and I want to do this and I can step on toes if I have to, but you're apologizing the whole time. So again, that's not to me the way to do it. If you're going to do something, you do it unapologetically. And so that's what I help women understand. And then my personal business, I am an efficiency expert through and through. I literally I see it, it just comes to me. It's not something that ever turns off. So between home, work, and everywhere in between, I literally can find any efficiency in any process. And so that's why I founded my own personal business, so I can utilize those skills in a different space outside of work.
What does efficiency mean? What kind of efficiency work? Because there's efficiency in the environment, there's efficiency in finance. What kind of
Yeah,
efficiency?
yeah. For me, it is literally personal efficiency. It is helping you get out of your own way so you can show up and be your best self. You can be productive, you can be successful, and it spans from the mom who's at home with children every day versus a corporate leader who also has children or a husband or a house to maintain. Or you're just a corporate person, you don't have a husband, and it doesn't matter. For me, efficiency is efficiency. Knowing that you can wake up and you can be your most productive self. I have the skills and ability to get people to that point. And so I want to help out, especially again, my working women, help them get out of their own way so they can be their best selves wherever they show up, whether it's at home, at work, or anywhere else.
Excellent. Excellent. So what led you to that work? How did you decide that this is what you want to do? And I'm sure some of it applied to your own growth, but what led you to do that for others?
It's something that I realized that it was something that I am really good at. I mean, and again, it wasn't anything I trained for. And trust me, I do believe my background with engineering and all of my studies and my coursework and schoolwork helped with that for sure. But it's something that I just do. Like I know that I can show up and even in a grocery store, and I can look at something and see, okay, this isn't moving efficiently at the airport or again at home or in someone else's space, someone else's life. I realize that it's a gift that I have, that I can look at any situation and streamline it, or at least remove the chaos from it. Remove the things that aren't productive or working for you or helping you in that particular situation. And so when I realized that, I was like, I feel like I need to share it. I need to help out other people who don't have this specific gift.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And so how would someone watches our video and say, oh, great, this is something I think I need. How do people reach out to you? So is it that you hear word of mouth, you get referrals, or you have a website? How do people get in touch with you?
So it's mostly word of mouth and referrals. For me, I am on all social media in terms of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. My handle is Paulette J. Evans on all of them. Also, I am paulettejevans@gmail.com. So that's my go-to kind of handle for anything and everything in terms of reaching me. And that's how people get in touch with me.
Excellent. So tell me this, in interacting with companies and individuals who want your service, have you experienced any challenges because of your race or your gender? Have you experienced any difficulty in navigating your work in both what you do for your company or for your own individual company and your nonprofit? Have you experienced challenges that you just said, this is only because I'm a woman or only because I'm a Black woman, if that's how you identify?
Yeah, and it is how I identify. And no, I have not. I will say, and I think it may be the way I show up. Again, I do, and again, I speak to this being authentically and unapologetically you. I show up the way I'm showing up. I don't really notice other people. So it could be a situation where someone is biased against me because of race or gender, but I really don't even notice because I show up in a space because I'm supposed to be there and I'm there for a reason. And I show up and I do what I need to do. Like I don't even pay attention to anyone enough to notice whether they have a bias against me. So yeah, that's the best way I can explain that. Because again, I'm certain in some spaces, someone has been uncomfortable by my presence, but I really don't know because I don't notice.
Thank you for that. Let me ask you this question. So you make the point of how you show up and that you're authentic and all of that stuff. So let's just say someone has contacted you. Well, I'll play a role play. So I called, just said, Dr. Evans, I need some efficiency. And I probably do in truth. All of us probably need some efficiency tweaking. But okay, I called you up and I said, Dr. Evans, so I've worked in technology my whole life. I've just now started my own business. I'm not doing as well as I'd like to do. How do you give me the skills to understand how to show up and not care what people see or think about me when they see me?
Yep. And so for me, I have to understand the person so then I know how to help them be better. So my initial conversation with anyone is to ask a lot of questions and to listen, to understand who you are, what you do, why you do what you do. A big thing, and this is another thing I have to share with women, my job is also to help you unlearn the things that we've been taught. And so once I understand who you are, then I can help you unlearn that thing that keeps blocking you from showing up the way you need to show up. For me, it was, you don't need to make sure you're not the smartest person in the room, because if you're smarter than all the boys, then none of them will talk to you. I mean, and like that kind of thing is what like a guidance counselor would tell me. And that is some of the things I need to help women unlearn. If you have a statement, you want to say something, say it. You don't need to be shy because you're the only person talking, or you're afraid you're going to be the only person talking. So unlearning all these things that we were taught as women is part of how I help women get out of their way now.
So, but okay, let's pick on me some more. Okay, so I work for this top university, elite university. They don't have a historical track record of being fair to Black people and more importantly, Black women. And I'm afraid to use my inside voice and to speak up for myself. I'm afraid that I might lose my job. I'm afraid it might end up having some kind of negative consequences for me. So I've got this challenge, and I've come to you and I said, Dr. Evans, so, I work for company A, and they're not a fan of people who have an opinion, who speak out, who challenge the authority of the leadership. What do you do to help me?
Yeah. And so again, to me, I would say first, it's not hearsay if you've seen it, but it also is kind of hearsay. I also like to make sure you are forming your own opinion on your own and not seeing what other people have said or whatever other people have witnessed. So I would tell that person to seek out that one individual, even if it's just one, in a leadership capacity, who really isn't against change or isn't against a person who has a voice. Figure out who that person is. And that may be just standing off to the side a little bit and monitoring, watching a person in action, maybe listening to this person speak in different spaces, formal and non-formal, and understanding who that person is and feeling comfortable enough once you know who that person is to reach out to that person and say, hey, we need to have a very candid conversation. Can I talk to you about something that's very important to me? And that's eventually very important to this entity in this organization. Figuring out who that person is, that person becomes your ally, and then you can actually make some change and break through at the top level.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. So let me ask you a question. So one of the things that I try to discourage people from asking and seeking is a mentor or a coach. I believe like an advocate is probably the best person if you're really trying to advance where you're going. So an advocate, skin in the game, they're going to pick up the phone, they're going to write a letter, they're going to make a recommendation, they're going to suggest you be hired, whatever it is, but they're going to come up with this list of things that they're willing to do to help you. Where do you fall in that? Some people subscribe you should have all three. Some people subscribe that you should have a coach. Where do you fall in that area?
I strongly agree with what you just stated. I'm a huge fan of having an advocate. I am not one that has role models or mentors or anything like that, because no one knows my story but me. So for me to rely on someone else to give me guidance is very hard. Like, I've never been able to do it. I just have not. I just can't. and role models who are people lead to disappointment because no one's perfect. So for me, I can't do either. An advocate for sure is your best path by far. That is the person who, again, can give you sound advice if you need it or ask for it, or they can just listen, or they can fight for you when you need someone to fight for you.
Excellent. So let me ask you this question. So in the game of things, how we think about this. So Black and brown women typically in the workplace experience different kinds of things, so one of my colleagues at American University said to me, there's this word heapy, right? So you're in a meeting and you sit down and you say, well, I think we should paint all the walls purple. And no one says a word. And then a man stands up and he says, well, the walls would look nice if they were purple. And, oh yeah, that's such a great idea. When did we paint them? For people who experience those types of things in the workplace. And I think that in traditional corporate life, all of us experience that, whether we're Black, white, male, female, whatever, experience that not having our ideas picked up. So how do we what things would you recommend to us to say, okay, well, if you want to be heard, here's the approach you should take, or here's how I think you should see the situation? Because what you said earlier, when I told you about my previous employer, was hearsay. They are facts. They are not hearsay. Believe me, it's facts. So, but coming into a workplace where you are struggling to get your ideas across, you're afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, I know the answer to that question, or I suggest we do it this way. What advice do you give us?
And that's the situation where, for me, I will never allow someone else to take credit for my thoughts or my work. ever. And so even in that specific example you just gave, for me, as soon as the male finished speaking and everyone jumped on board in that space, I would have said, okay, so wait a minute. I literally just said that before he said it. So why is it being received differently? Because he said it.
Right.
And so I am that person that will challenge you all day long. I will ask you why you did something. And when you start tripping over yourself, that's when I can bring to you the fact that you have an unconscious or conscious bias, and you probably shouldn't do that again. That's something that isn't working. It is not fair. And it's not a practice that you should entertain any further. And some people need to be called out. I mean, some people really don't know they're doing it.
Yeah.
And other people know they're doing it. But I think either way, when I call someone out, they typically don't expect it. And so it catches them off guard. And that's intentional. Like I want to catch you off guard. I want you to question what you're doing because I see what you're doing and I'm letting you know I see it. So now what is your excuse for doing what you're doing?
You know, I have to say, Dr. Evans, you know, you look younger than me by a good little amount. And I am so impressed. You sound like such a strong woman with no fear. And I have to say, I respect that because I absolutely do not have that. You know, my community, you know, I have probably 20, 30,000 people in my community, and each person I meet, I have to decide how I'm going to interact with them, right? So for example, if I want something, so this advocacy thing. So I may say, Dr. Evans, can you write me a letter of recommendation or provide a reference for me for this job I'm trying to get? Well, my first approach said, how well do I know her? You know, is she going to say something good about me, or is she going to undermine me? You know, what is it? So the fact that you are comfortable in your skin is pretty damn powerful. And I want to thank you for that. That's pretty damn powerful. It's beautiful.
Thank you very, very much.
Cool.
Yeah, and I don't know how it happened. I guess it just did. but I really enjoy it. And again, for me, it is that thing where I can show another woman that this is how you can do it and be successful. If I can do that, then I am extremely happy. And I love doing that.
Absolutely. But I will tell you, everything you said today, none of it I would apply to my life because I am terrified. You know, I work in technology. I work in IT, and I want to continue to work in IT. I want to continue to be well received. And you probably know this, IT is predominantly white male.
Yes,
I'm an anomaly, you know, and I find myself like, when people tell me I'm the only person that looks like, I've been the only person for 40 plus years. I am so done with that. But it has conditioned me to behave in a certain way to accomplish what my goals are. Because if I were to be as bold as you are, if I were to be as outspoken, I would probably be sit back to the Stone Age or something, because it would not be well received. So my point in describing that for you is to tell you that I'm not unique. There are a lot of women that are like me that are struggling to succeed in their career and in their lives, but also understand that the rule book is not meant for me. I am on the outside looking in almost all the time.
Yeah, and I think I experienced that very early on. I want to say I was 17 or 18 years old, and I was the only woman in my engineering class at Clemson. I mean, so for me, it was very early on to see that if I don't speak up, then it's going to always be, you know, the little black girl in the corner who isn't saying anything, and the white males will continue to dominate the conversation and the actions. And so then that's when I chose. I was like, I can't not speak up. Because if I don't speak up, they'll never know I'm here.
Absolutely. And you're so right in that. Absolutely right. So let me change the conversation. I typically don't like to talk about diversity in a, you know, straightforward way, but tell me, you know, like, as I said earlier, like most times I'm the only person like me, or I'm one of one or one of two or something like that in terms of diversity and inclusion. How do we get past this place where diversity has been such a barrier for Black and brown people?
Yeah, and then that's a whole conversation in itself. But I think the big thing is making sure a place or space understands that you are there. Understanding that you have to question and challenge their stereotypes, because they have them, biases, stereotypes, whatever you want to call them, they are present. And so making sure you know who you're showing up for and who you're talking to. For me, again, if I want to sit back and read the room, I can figure out quickly who I'm dealing with. And then I can show up and tell them who I am and make sure they understand who I am. But a lot of people find it hard to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, all of it, I think, because it's just not been something that people have brought up. It's one of those things that are buried. And so once you decide that you're going to bring it to the forefront, and again, you challenge people to actually speak about it and say things and speak their mind and talk about it, then they realize it's not that hard of a conversation. Not for me anyway, because again, I'm the topic of the conversation. So some people may not feel comfortable speaking up because they just don't know how. They haven't been asked to before. They haven't been challenged to before. But making sure they know that I'm comfortable having the conversation. So you don't need to walk on eggshells around me. I'm the person, I am the entity, I'm the person, the group, whatever that we're talking about. And I'm good with the conversation. So please speak freely. and then they get a little more comfortable in terms of voicing their opinion or thoughts in that case.
Thank you for that. That's very, very helpful. So, okay, let's go with Paulette or Dr. Evans in high school. Did you know that you would become the woman that you are today? So when you were back, I guess going through the teen years, did you know this was who you were going to become, or were you already that woman?
Oh boy, I have not changed much since high school. So, and my husband, he's known me since high school, so he can attest to that as well. I kind of knew it. I mean, I knew that I was going to be whoever I wanted to be because I wanted to be that person, not because society wanted me to be a certain way or anyone was deciding my life for me. I did know that much. I knew I would always be who Paulette was going to be. Paulette's going to do what she wants to do. She's not going to do anything she doesn't want to do. And she's not going to be forced to do things or fit in any kind of box. I did know that in high school. And so now it's just kind of like capitalized on itself from year to year. Every year I feel like I learn more, I do more, I see more, and I just become a better me. And for me, it is literally my definition of happiness is having everything I want. It's not anybody else's definition. And that's another thing I tell women, your definition of happiness is yours. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody. You don't need to check a box that someone else put there for you. Whatever makes you happy determines your definition of happiness.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this. So my daughter tells me this often. She said, you have to speak truth to power. And I thought, what an interesting thing. And the way she described this to me is like your tongue has so much power over what you do. But sometimes those quiet conversations you have in your head are almost as powerful as your tongue because you're telling yourself things that may or may not be true. I think what you said earlier when you said it was hearsay when I was telling you about my company, I think that's so perfect because in a lot of ways, maybe I have made that up. Maybe I have created from my experiences and other experiences, I've clogged them all together. And I've said, oh, well, this is what this experience is because I've been so conditionally taught and I believe it in my head. I reinforce it, right? I reinforce it. Yep. You're not going to. So what's your thought about that? So how do we get out of our heads, get out of our own way, which I think you said earlier? How do we do that? What's the first thing you would tell us to do?
So for me, it is creating a positive mantra. For me, I am a huge fan of mantras. And again, that can be words. It can be a song that is your jam that gets you, hyped and motivated. Whatever it is you need to tell yourself that is not negative. I tell women often, there are so many people, there's so many no's out there. There's so many people that are going to say something bad about you, speak ill about you, say things that are just not true. All those things are happening outside of yourself. You can't add to it. If nothing else, you have to be that positive voice for yourself because you shouldn't rely on someone else to be that voice for you. So the only thing you should be telling yourself is positive stuff all day long. For me, my mantra is I am fabulous and I can do anything. And I tell myself that as soon as I wake up and then I go do what I do. So I tell women, just find out whatever that is. If it's just a statement, my statement is very simple, but it's extremely impactful for me. And it helps motivate me to do everything that I do. If it's a song, if it's a quote, if it's a poem, whatever it is that you need from a positive light, you need to look at that every day. As soon as you wake up, that's the first thing you see, and shield out anything else that negates it. Just don't let anything else in. But for sure, don't be that negative voice for yourself ever. Because you have too many other voices doing that already. You don't need to do it to yourself.
That's beautiful. So now where do you see us going as a society, specifically among women, in achieving the goals that we set forth for ourselves? So I love the fact that you have a mantra. You wake up. Have you heard the Mary J. Blige song, Gorgeous?
Gorgeous. Yes.
Oh my God, I
Love
love
it.
that song. It's a powerful
Love
affirmation
it.
too. Absolutely powerful affirmation for women.
Yes. As soon as I heard, I was like, yes. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's beautiful. And again, I'm hoping that that's some woman's mantra or many women's mantra. I think she needed that for herself. And again, it's one of those moments where you're like, I did this for me, but I need to share it because so many other women need to hear this message. And I always love her songs and her music because it always tells a story of her life. Her songs are very personal. And she chooses to share all of that, whether it's joy or pain. She shares it with us. So we have something that we can share with her.
And Beyonce's I Woke Up Like This. That's my favorite. I woke up like this. I wake up beautiful. You know, I tell myself every day, I wake up beautiful. I don't care how my hair looks, you know, sleep fine. I still wake up. I woke up like this.
That's right.
And so in reality, you know, we talk about this all the time, but it's really not easy to do, to overcome years of beliefs and philosophies and things that put on you about who you are and how we see you. So in reality, when you think about that, your work has to start in a way like psychiatry or psychology. You start undoing what people have built for themselves for so long, and then putting it on themselves. So when I said, my daughter says, speak truth to power, you know, like you have to stop believing what other people have told you about yourself and start believing what you think about yourself, and not taking on the baggage or the drama of others and putting it on yourself, because we do that so insistently. And because we are women, it comes natural to us because we're nurturers.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that goes back to that unlearning. Like I said, that's the first thing is I'm trying to figure out why you're in the space you're in. And it's most likely not something that happened yesterday or last week or last month. It is something really deep and it's like rooted in you. And I need to figure out what that is so I can help you get past it and unlearn it so you can be your best self today.
Absolutely. That's just so wonderful. So we have just a few minutes. So I want to leave the remainder of time for you to talk about your business or anything else you want to convey that we have not covered.
I think we covered a lot, but for sure, for me, I'm trying to get to a point where I have, you know, the website and all that, but it's really, I'm a person who's on email all day. Like my email stays open. So I tell people it is best to reach out to me with any questions or needs you have via email. Again, paulettejevans@gmail.com. My handles for LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram are Paulette J. Evans. I am a huge fan of responding because I hate when people don't respond to people. Like I don't know, I take personal offense to it. If someone is literally asking you for help or they need you for something, I mean, unless it's spam or junk, why would you not respond?
Or not respond, right?
I never understand that. So I am a big fan of responding to anyone who reaches out to me with a sincere request to require my assistance or my expertise. Again, my women are my biggest support group in terms of who I want to work with, who I want to help. Men have had it pretty easy and they continue to have it easy. So I don't even listen to them when they need anything or they're having a bad day. It's like, you don't know what a bad day is. So calm down. Women, for sure, I am always excited and happy to help a fellow woman achieve anything she wants to. And that does go with the pronouns, she, you know, they, all of it. Like anyone who believes they are a woman who needs help, that's who I'm here for.
Excellent. So I agree with you about the responding. I think it's disrespectful to not respond, especially if the person is, you know, someone's emailed you directly. The spam and phishing and all that stuff, yeah, not so much. But if I email you, hey, Dr. Evans, how are you doing today? And you don't respond, that, you know, part of it can be attributed to forgetfulness, you know, busy schedules, all of that kind of thing, other responsibilities. But you ought to be able to respond to the person, to give them back the same respect that they have given you.
Exactly. And you would think, I mean, it's common sense. I mean, it's all that, but some people just don't understand it. They don't do it. Yeah, it's extremely rude and very disrespectful.
Absolutely. So my last question for you is this. So where are women in the structural and hierarchical nature of society. Are women making progress? Are we climbing the ladder? So, I'm sure you heard of the glass ceiling, the cement ceiling, all the barriers that prevent women from achieving all this. Have we accomplished very much over the years since we got the right to vote?
I think we have. And again, I can't speak for times prior to me being here, but I can say that what I have witnessed, based on what I've read in history books, we have made great progress. I think there is still, work to be done. Of course, we're never going to just be sitting around saying, okay, we've arrived and now we're good and I'm done working. That'll never happen, nor should it. But I do want women to own the fact that we are that powerful. I mean, we are the power. God created us to be the power. I tell men sometimes, I said, if God had created women first, you really wouldn't be here. Let's be clear. Because he started with you and he was like, yeah, that's not going to work. I had to do a little bit more. So women, we are the power. We just have to know it. And once we know it and we embrace it and we do what we're supposed to do, as in showing up the way God created us to show up, we will literally conquer the world.
Excellent. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for that. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you again for agreeing to chat with me today. This has been wonderful. I hope you'll come back and talk to me again sometime later and let me know how your things are going and all that stuff. And if we can help you in any kind of way. So please, keep in touch with us. And I will send you an email to PauletteJEvans@gmail. Thank you so much. So much, Dr. Evans. This is so kind of you. Thank you. And I think we've learned a lot here today. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I love being here.
Yeah, excellent. And I'll send you a link to the chat. Please watch it and let me know if I may upload it. Okay.
I will.
Thank you so much. Dear. Thank you. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.